Greg, when I was working at IBM in field service, one of the smartest things people did is they started building their own tool case. And then soon they required you to, in many professions, to buy your own tools. I want to talk about that as a sales professional. If they're building their own personal tool case that goes with them in a career, and what would those tools be?
Yeah, there's probably a number of things that should be included in somebody's toolkit, but we kind of, after the last few interviews that we had done, I think we really got, I think we got somewhere with talking to these leaders about what salespeople should be evolving into and understanding the change that's going on within the sales profession. So, some of the things that have come up with is, like a sales, every salesperson should have their own contact list, basically. One that they can take from one company to the other. Salespeople change jobs every 18 months to 2 years because they need to kind of refresh everything and get a new challenge. It's kind of mentality right now in sales. So as they move from one job to the other, they may take the contacts with them too because they're trusted, because those salespeople have actually developed a relationship with those people. Hopefully, it's a trusting one that says, "Yeah, I'll buy from you again, and I'll keep on buying from you as long as you have a good solution and I can trust you."
Yeah, and this doesn't mean disregarding any conflict of interest or competition agreement you set up. This is building these contacts that go with you. You can use it by LinkedIn. You can use it by a social CRM like Nimble or something. And I think it's really important to be thinking in terms of building your, kind of like your own personal Rolodex that you keep with you that stays dynamic today. What else is important with that?
Well, I think that you got to, nobody else owns your social network, so you got to take those, you got to build those social networks, at wherever you're working, and then also take them with you, and move them when you move on to your next place of employment. One thing that I think we're going to see over the next couple of years or so is that during that sales interview, people are going to start asking, what kind of folks are you connected to, and you're going to get pre-screened with, looking at saying, okay, well, does he have enough connections? Is he active on LinkedIn? Is she active on Twitter? Those sort of, things that they have actually, those sales organizations may be more social selling organizations as opposed to cold calling organizations. So, they're going to look at your utilization of social. So, just keep in mind, you own your social network. You own LinkedIn. You own your Twitter accounts. You own your Facebook accounts, your Google Plus accounts, your Quora accounts, cloud, all that stuff. You own it. Your employer can't tell you what to do with it, but it is one of those tools that you put in your tool chest. You say, listen, I'm here. I can come and do the job. I got the right tools for it, and hire me. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's building these, and this is also having your own Dropbox, maybe having your own Google Drive access that you initiate some of the folders so you have access to them and you have the authority over it. Having your own website, like a WordPress site, for building that network and building that personal brand, as we've talked about before. And I think these are a few of the tools to really think, do you have a tool case you can carry with you anywhere? And are you building that? Or are you just thinking in terms of I don't want to spend any money or effort unless they pay for them. Guess what? They pay for them, they own them, and then you don't have that advantage, and you could be in a pickle. I was just talking with someone recently, and and I said, look, have you built out your own connections? You think it's secure, but it may not be. But this is also adding value back to the business you're with. So I think that's important. So we've got in the toolkit social CRM, that might be something we mentioned like Nimble, where it works around Chrome, and it can overlap with your Salesforce and work with it. That's just an example. Another one could be Dropbox or Drive. What could be a few more?
Well, one thing I think that over the last few interviews that we had done, some of the folks there, made the point that training. You can expect your trainers, the sales trainers at the organizations you're working at, to train you on product, but are they actually going to train you on how to sell the product? Some do. Some are pretty good at it. But, and some of those methods you're going to like, you're going to adopt, and you're going to, take them and open some new business with it. I think that's good. But, you also have to continue to show them your skills. I can tell you that, every profession, like from me, like in marketing, or the mechanic who wants to take and keep their ASE certifications, current and up to date, they're continually doing training. IT folks need to continue to keep up the training because the stuff changes all the time. This is the same case with sales as well. Sales is changing, and you have to get trained. You have to continue to get trained on what are the new methods, what are the new tools out there, so that way you stay sharp and you stay, ahead of the curve when it comes to selling.
Yeah, and this is keeping up maybe with your own blog reader, with your favorite blogs you're following. I've really started enjoying good old news.google.com, and then I might save stuff in Evernote as it moves forward. So your own feed that keeps you competitive. Yeah, I think that's excellent. Greg, the next thing I'd like to talk about is something that seems to occur in LinkedIn. It's sort of like there was a watch there, and then LinkedIn slowly takes it away, hoping no one will notice they took it away from us. I want to talk about this pattern.
Yeah, well, I remember we talked a few episodes back, probably about 20 episodes ago, when they killed events. Remember that?
Yep.
Anyone listening out there remember when you used to be able to...
answers that I love so much.
Right. We actually put that in our book, that book that needs to be refreshed. But they remember questions and answers, or LinkedIn Answers was that that place where you can actually go and connect with people that you weren't even connected to, and you can get answers, to questions. And now it's its own social network. There was events. That's gone. Now you don't know who's at conferences. Now you actually have to rely on, well, I don't know if there's really anything out there.
Twitter hashtags might be it. Who knows?
Sure. Yeah, and email. I guess I could tell you about that, but you still don't know who's actually going there unless you do go to Twitter and find the hashtag. But yeah, that can be fun. That's really good for the socially active.
So what else have they taken away?
Well, recently, not too long ago, we probably, I know we've talked about this on the podcast, but Reportive. They pulled that, and Reportive was very, very cool for seeing some social data on somebody in your Gmail account. So you had their email address, and it would take and show up like, here's a LinkedIn profile, and here's a Twitter account, and here's their Facebook account, and here's a Google Plus account, and it would take and show you that information, so that way you, as a social seller, could actually go and look at them over, build some information, get a good profile on them, start to develop their persona. That way, when you're having that conversation, you have it backed up with good data.
Right? And now you'd be really using your own social CRM for that, right?
Correct. So it's gone a step further. LinkedIn has really tried. They did try to evolve it into its own app on the iPhone. People rejected it loudly. I don't think they really realize, how much, when you participate with these social networks and things like that, how much data is actually out there. So people were a little freaked out about it. So I guess a few months later, then LinkedIn decided to shut down Reportive. But it was a really handy tool for guessing email addresses for people too.
What about InMaps is gone too? Talk about and what might be a substitute for it.
Well, InMaps is a cool tool because it could show you, which I believe we talked about that as well in previous episodes. It showed you, it kind of mapped out your network. It showed you, like it broke things out into color codes so that you can see, like, this is where you connected with all these people when you worked here, and this is where you connected with all these people when you lived here. And it was a really, really cool tool for just kind of understanding and visualizing your map, which, we're visual beings, so we need to see these things. But they did kill it. Now if you do a Google search, I think you can find some colleges that might have some grad students doing studies on networks, and I found one not too long ago, and I was actually checking that out, and it only actually looks at 500 connections, and when you have over 3,000 connections, it's really not that useful. So I don't know if there's really a replacement or if there's going to be, but there might be some some rumors floating around that LinkedIn might be coming out with something better.
Yeah, so just so you know, if it goes away, it's not necessarily you're losing your mind. It might be they just quietly took it off the plate, hoping we wouldn't notice it. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the downloading the SlideShare app. Greg?
Yeah. So this goes back to doing looking at doing training and online, whether it's online or in the classroom or anything like that. The SlideShare can be pretty darn good for going over slide decks that we all love to download after we've attended a webinar. So go out to download the SlideShare app onto your iPhone or to your Android device, and then when you have nothing better to do and you're sitting on the train or on a bus or something like that or flying, take and go through here and start reviewing some of the slide decks in there, man. You can learn a ton of great stuff in there.
Yep.
It's very, very valuable.
Excellent. Exporting your account data.
Yeah, this is kind of new too, because you know how on Google, you can take and export your entire account if you want to, all your Google Plus data, all your Gmail data, and all that stuff, your search data. You can export all of that. I think it's called like Takeout Taxi or something like that, or that might be the food service. Well, whatever. But there's also Twitter. You can go in and request your archive as well, or request your tweets, and it'll go back a certain amount of time. And I think Facebook actually has a tool for this too. LinkedIn up until recently really hasn't had a export your account data feature, but the only thing you could really export out of it was your connections, which you would then take and you could put it into your Gmail account, your Outlook account, or whatever you wanted to do. But what they've done now is there is this neat little feature where if you go under your privacy and settings option in your LinkedIn account and then click on the account tab about halfway down the page, you'll see an option in there for requesting your data archive. And it takes about 72 hours for them to put it together, but I'm going to try it. I'm going to see what happens and report back to it.
Yeah, let's talk about it on the next show. We wanted to cover just a few things today, and some of the things that went away, some new additions, but the big theme here is really what's in your tool bag that you own as a sales professional.
Yeah, and really kind of listen to that part. What is mechanics have to go to. When mechanics go to work, they bring their own tools. The employer doesn't provide them tools. A carpenter, when they're going out building a home or doing things like that, the contractor doesn't provide them tools. The plumber as well. They usually aren't provided tools. So in sales profession, you're not really provided tools, so you have to have your own. Other than here's a CRM and a computer, go to work. But there are other tools out there that you can definitely use that your employer may not be willing to pay for, that you can use, and you will see the ROI of the return.
Sounds good to me, and I think that's a good note to wrap it up. Look forward, if you have tools you carry with you, leave them in the comments, contact us, let us know, and also, Greg, how can they find us online?
Yeah, well, definitely. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Stitcher, please, leave us a 5-star review. We love those. And matter of fact, if you do, I will make sure that you need 5. Yeah, 5. And make sure we mention your comments and things like that on the podcast. We'd love to read them out, call you out. Say, hey, thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter. You can either follow Martin at Martin Brossman, or follow me at Greg Hyer, or follow the show at Linking In, the number 2 Sales. Join our LinkedIn group on LinkedIn. Just search for Linking Into Sales, the Social Selling Podcast, and find us on Google Plus. You can.
It's everywhere.
Everywhere, because we need to be everywhere. We want to make this content actually really easy for you guys to get to. So, listen to us. You can watch us on the video. We've been doing a lot more video here recently with Hangouts. Soon, at some point here, we'll get them scheduled as soon as Martin and I can get our schedule synced up. So
We'll find it anyway. We'll find holes anyway.
we'll,
We're all over the. I'm all over the state. And we've done it in everything short of hotels to cars. But that wraps
that's
it
right.
up tonight. Please keep your feedback going. It inspires us to go forward and hear what other shows you want, possible interviews. We're here to really keep making this worth your attention. Right, Greg?
Absolutely.
Martin Brossman.
And Greg Hyer, you've been watching Linking into Sales using social media to support the sales cycle.